if you have a runaway trolley, would you run over those 5 adults or would you run over the one baby?
Are you actually asking me?
Which one will you run over?
Jeez, what a thing to put on the podcast. I don't know. Now, I know you can never predict what's going to happen. I guess in this case, you kind of can, which I think for me makes it even scarier because I can see what's coming. So anything you can do on a computer can be automated.
Yeah.
In the next 5 years.
Knowledge is no longer the main barrier. But ultimately, actually, what you want is a dispensable workforce. It's a very high stakes world now. If you have an interview with a person, you've got to appeal to that person's humanity. It's the fact that people are fallible that makes
them human. Yeah.
That makes them human and interesting to other humans.
This is the thing. This is why I think the human element of it is the thing that will survive.
The Education Lounge podcast.
Okay, back for another season.
Yep.
And we're going to start it off nice and cheery. I don't think that most people are aware just how much things are about to change.
But in the process of changing.
In the process of changing, but I think, because I started watching a podcast on this, I think, yesterday, which I'll talk about in a bit, but the future of like work and jobs and all of that. Now, given what we do as part of the tutoring, part of the business, we obviously get a lot of kids not knowing what they want to go into and parents asking these sorts of questions. So my initial question is more personal, I guess. Are you fearful of the new world? And how can you plan when you can't predict what's going to happen? Now, I know you can never predict what's going to happen, but I guess in this case you kind of can, which I think for me makes it even scarier because I can see what's coming.
I think Jeff Bezos said it's better to concentrate on what won't change than, and I always kind of think that's a really good way of looking at things. So if you were to look
behavior,
if you were to look 10 years down the line or whatever, it's not just that though. It's like it's also, there are things that won't change in the next 10 years. Then but there's other things that will change a lot in the next 10 years.
Yeah, I think most people will be able to use 2 letters to tell us exactly what will change. That's all anyone's been talking about for the last 2-3 years at least. But in your view, what won't change? Because I know we've had entire episodes on AI before. Seems to crop up in every conversation we have. And I always say that it's the human element, the human connection and creation won't change. Like, it will be a bit different. People will try and use AI to recreate that level of creativity and connection, but the example I always use is the Zoom calls over COVID. People ended up hating them and wanted to go back to actually seeing real people, and I think the same principle plays out here. So what do you think is the thing that's not going to change?
I think the performance. I think a big thing that won't change is, and I think it's mirrored in. You've started playing chess recently, right?
Yeah, last about month or so.
Obviously, computers have surpassed humans a long time ago in playing chess.
That's narrow field, though, isn't it?
No, as in, I'm just taking a principle here. As in, people like to watch people playing chess.
Okay.
Ultimately, I mean, it's kind of enjoyable. There's been new ideas that have come out of the sort of intelligence explosion in chess, especially the neural net games, because you can take ideas from that sort of thing and then apply them in human terms.
I'm not aware of what's happened in
just certain things that we didn't think were possible, or certain openings or certain things like that you learn from computers and you can apply to the human game, and then it's elevated the human game.
Right.
So that is an element in which computers have surpassed the levels of people, but people still want to watch it, and it's because people like watching people.
Yeah, so it's still the human element. That's
it's like if you watch football, it's the mistakes and stuff like that. It's the fact that people are fallible that makes
them human. Yeah.
That makes them human and interesting to other humans.
Yeah.
So I still see massive potential in terms of if you are someone who likes getting in front of an audience, I think that domain it's going to be hard to disrupt that.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of people, think about influencers and all this sort of stuff. All of this stuff that used to be only accessible to big corporations and, BBC or whatever else is now in everyone's pocket.
And
so everyone is able to project themselves through camera and whatever else, like influencers and stuff. So I don't think, that's not going anywhere. But there are AI influencers coming around and stuff like that as well. Going back to the football thing, I think I've seen a video of robots playing football.
Yeah.
It's kind of hilarious.
I'm sure
in their current state, it's kind of hilarious watching them play football.
I think there's massive potential for people to utilize when we do have robots everywhere and stuff like that. You can utilize those tools to create value. So, for instance, when Tesla finally have their robo taxis and stuff like that driving around everywhere.
I've seen them. That
you just buy a fleet, wouldn't you? You just buy a fleet of these, and then they can go out and make you money.
Yeah.
But one thing that a lot of people I don't think it's a point many people focus on, but it's actually a lot of the time the inefficiencies where people make their value or money. So if you think about the artisan instrument creator, like a violin, someone who builds a violin.
Yeah.
The amount of skill that you need to create that from hand is massive.
But does it need to be from hand?
No. As mass production sort of builds up and stuff like that, and you have machines able to create these instruments, then naturally so capitalism makes things more and more efficient, naturally.
Yeah.
But what it does is it will squeeze out the value of the human worker.
Yeah. I always think this, with big corporations. And obviously, people say that some of them do evil things, whatever else. But if you think about, for example, where McDonald's started, just two brothers just making burgers in a really efficient way.
Yeah.
People had never seen before. The bigger you get, the less what's the word? Not individual, kind of individual. The less tailored.
Yeah. Everything
is. Where, again, with Samsung or any tech company, they started in garages and tinkering away, humans being interested in the thing, tinkering away at it. And then now everyone just has the same.
If you're a corporation, imagine that you take a corporation eye view of the world. You want your workers to be dispensable, right?
Yeah.
Really. You don't want anyone who's like
a free thinker. You don't want a free thinker.
You don't want you want people who can create things that make you money. So you want some level of free thinking in that sense, so creativity within the workplace.
Yeah, but for the people designing, creating the product, but for the people putting it together, you don't.
Yeah. But ultimately, actually, what you want is a dispensable workforce. So you don't want any key men risk. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to pay them more money. It's bad if they die or something like that, or go away or get taken by another company. So ultimately, if you take a corporation eye view of everything, your incentive is to diminish the value of human labor to the extent that it's basically, these are just parts I can move it in and out.
Yeah. And AI is going to accelerate that.
Yeah.
Ridiculously.
Yeah.
So back to the initial question. When a parent or child basically asks you what they should be doing.
Yeah.
the question is in a changing world, what should you learn right now? So skills, jobs, what should people be learning right now? Because 5, 6, 7 years ago, everyone was like, oh, just learn to code.
It's changed.
And now there's a machine that does that for you. So looking forward, what would you say people should learn right now? Not just, obviously it applies mostly to like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, us kind of as well, millennials, and not so much to people that are verging on retirement. But what would you say that the people that we teach and the people below them and maybe people our age, what should we be working towards now? We've still got another 30, 40 years of work ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
What should we all be doing?
Well, this is a question that I'm kind of scared to answer, in a sense, and I wrestle with it. I've wrestled with
I
it a
am
lot.
as well.
Um,
I think about it as well.
I think that we were in a knowledge economy. I think of it, the knowledge worker.
Yep.
So your job, your role in society, for most people, is to build up your knowledge base as much as possible, so you can, enter an industry where there is a market.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's fundamentally changed because knowledge is no longer the main barrier.
Because it's easy accessible. This is bucket 1, isn't it? I've not looked at this book since I read it, but I think I read it like 3-4 years ago. I think it's bucket 1. Bucket 1, what you know, which is your knowledge. You're gonna fill your buckets in the right order. What you know, what can you do, who you know, what you have, and what the world thinks of you and your reputation. So, I don't know if Andrew can zoom in on this, but they're the buckets. So, does that still apply?
I think those first 3 buckets are gone.
You mean the first 3 buckets are gone?
Yeah.
What you know, what you can do, who you know. So you think it's all about what you have and what people think of you?
Who you know, probably some. Oh, yeah. The first 2 buckets.
Your knowledge and your skills.
Yep.
Depends what skills. I guess.
I think it depends on the time frame that we're thinking, because if we're thinking next 5 years, there's a lot of skills that will still be relevant. But if we're thinking 10 to 20 years, and I think a lot of the time, when you think of what should you do, you presumably want to think long term. You don't just want to think 5 years. You want to think 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, what will my life look like in 10, 20 years? And what will I be able to do? How will I be able to help people? And I think
that's the thing. How are you able to help people?
There's some very short-term easy wins in the next 5 years, if you are willing to learn certain skills. But on the long-term basis, I think we're accelerating to a point where you get sort of essentially perfect capitalism, which isn't, although I believe in capitalism, as in trying to do things as efficiently as possible, and then dividing labor up so you basically get specialists in certain places so people can be utilized in the best way possible.
Yeah.
But when it's taken, like any idea taken to extremes, you will reach a point where there will be some pretty bad consequences. There will be some massive winners, and there will be some it's a very high stakes world now.
Okay, so let's do 2, because I'm kind of curious about us as well. So someone that's our age, 30s, what should they be doing? And someone that is, let's say,
Starting out like young.
well, yeah, just finished GCSEs or just finished A-levels or college or uni, 15 to 20 something.
I'd say for someone sort of GCSE age, over the next 3 years there will be a lot of change. So you'll have the slight advantage that you are still you know,
got time ahead of you.
you've got some time in which you can watch some of the change,
Yeah.
and then make decisions that, you know, but if you're, so I actually think they've got it slightly easier in that sense, because they can see it happen, and then
They've got time to adapt.
and they can plan.
Okay, so what should they be working on?
I think building a good base in the soft skills is still critical and will always matter.
Yeah, so it's back to the things that won't change.
Yep.
The human interaction stuff is still going to exist.
Obviously, I'm not gonna say ignore your studies. I'm gonna still say it's important to build up your knowledge, because
Yeah,
knowledge at some level is very. I'm just saying that I think in the long term, the idea of going to university and reaching a ridiculously high level in something and studying for a PhD in mathematics or something like that might not be the best long-term plan.
So I do think if you go to uni, you take stuff to a high level, it's not just about, it used to be more about what job you can get when you come out of it.
Yeah.
I think now the relevance of that is different. I think it's more developing your mind and your knowledge and just the way that your mind works, and improving neural connections and all that sort of stuff.
I do think there's still purpose to things. It's a bit like, creative writing.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that one day, I know that computers have already overtaken, say, 90% of people's writing ability. There's that sort of 10% that are incredible writers, and
it's because they're large language models. LLMs have all of the stuff already fed to it.
So there is a sort of point at which, okay, well, the AI models have just improved so much. To what extent is it relevant doing something like creative writing? But then that's not really the point of creative writing for me. It's actually
it's the enjoyable part of it. But in terms of career and work, what should someone that's finishing uni or college or GCSE, what should they be learning? What can they bring to the workforce, if there is one?
On a 5-year timescale, I believe useful things to learn are things that will have licenses. So there's some form of licensing.
Okay.
There's some sort of barrier to entry to achieving that qualification, and there's going to be, no matter what you say, say in 10, 20 years or whatever, there's still going to be problems with an AI or a robot achieving that qualification or whatever, or being allowed to.
So give me an example. Are we talking, because driving needs a license, although in the episode I watched yesterday, driving is one of the top 10 professions in the world.
Yeah.
As in, by
50% of workers in the US are.
Well, it's in the top 10 of number of people doing that job. And that, if you've looked into LA and San Francisco and you've seen Waymo driving around, or you've seen the new Tesla taxis that are on beta testing at the moment.
And Amazon's Amazon's got one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is something that needs a license that's going to go. So it's not all licenses. What about a surgeon?
Well, they already have robots that can do keyhole surgery to a higher rate of accuracy than a human.
So what licenses are we talking about?
Well, something like solicitor or lawyer, they still, because they're a actual lawyer, that still has value, because
I would have thought that would be one of the first ones to go.
No,
because you can feed it it can read through all the documents, do all the data.
Because it
doesn't have new ones.
Don't get me wrong, it's not something completely immune to it, because AI models will be able to absorb that information, probably offer legal advice better than most lawyers, that sort of thing. But I'm talking for a few jobs and few things, you will need a lawyer to like sign off on it, and that's still worth something.
Okay.
It's not the best. I'm not saying that these are like great protections. They're not.
Okay. Right.
But-
Let's think about it this way. What is something that would be, in your eyes, the most protected from what's about to happen? Is there anything? I can't really think of much. Short of like I don't know, teacher, anything personable.
Electrician would be very high. Electrician, very high, yeah. And plumber.
I think that would be replaced. It would
No.
take longer to replace, but
I mean, if you think about it this way, it's a job that you'd love to replace with robots, like generally. If you could have a robot that could just fix stuff. But it's going to be there's a technological challenge there that they're going to have to overcome. There are licenses that there's a licensing system there. So I think that's like the least likely to be automated quickly. So in the next 5-10, I don't see that changing.
5-10 years, no. But I think it will.
Yeah, like as in I think 20 years, yeah. 15.
But then
20
the people
years.
we're talking about who are like 15, 20 years is what? They'll be 40, 45.
When in some ways I think it doesn't even matter, because if they can replace that, then what else are they're going to be living a life of leisure, I think, or crippling poverty. Like I don't
think that's more likely.
But I think like money itself will have very little meaning, because like where's the value being created?
Well, it's not been created by the main workforce anymore, I guess.
No one will be able to buy anything. No one will have any money. Like the point of money is not that it holds any intrinsic value in of itself. It's
a promise.
It's a means of exchange.
Yeah. So
it just lubricates productivity. Essentially gives people incentive.
Yeah.
To do things and exchange their time for money.
So you think plumber, electrician, those sorts of jobs?
Long time. They're pretty good bets for the next 20 years. 15,
Okay,
20
what
years.
about past that? Because
the thing is that
come on to it.
You'd say generally, all right, do the most difficult thing, study the most difficult thing possible, and you'll kind of be safe because like the knowledge will protect you in some sense. That's a moat. So for instance, if you've got a PhD in machine learning or something like that, or mathematics or something like that could be a great protection. But I think it's kind of the opposite, because in this economy, those are exactly the sorts of things that they want to automate.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really that's the thing, is like,
because everyone has access to that knowledge now, so
yeah, what do the companies actually want to automate at the top end? And that is going to be like basically AI research. So I think AI research isn't necessarily a good thing to go into.
well, no, because
Now,
the AIs will be able to do their own AI research anyway. So
And then once you do that, mathematics as well, because basically all of this is a mathematics problem.
Yeah.
At its core. So I think mathematics, like the value of knowing a hell of a lot of maths plummets. It doesn't mean that it's not a good thing to learn, because it teaches you how to think in certain ways. So there's a logical value.
problem solve, yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't really leave. There's not much really.
I can't think of what else. So like electricians, plumbers, builders, that sort of stuff. What about I don't think there is a definitive answer. I know I'm trying to find a definitive answer.
Well, you did say teachers, and I think they're
teachers, dentists, that sort of-
childcare. There's
childcare.
there's fair.
I don't know, robots and all.
I think there's like it's what the robots can do and what the AIs can do versus to what extent people are willing to allow them to do it. And that's a completely different level of
Yeah.
trust.
Well, with the childcare thing, there's a lot of stuff that we can't see that takes place, like chemical
Mhm.
reactions and
Yeah.
pheromones and all this
Yeah.
sort of stuff that we are not fully aware of how it works. But I don't think a child brought up by a robot that doesn't have, a heart and a gut and all these sorts of things would turn out as well as if it was being looked after by like a actual human person.
Yeah, we've seen it with like children raised on iPads. So like there is, I think there is an intrinsic, but then by the same token, if people are given more time by these tools and stuff like that, they're going to be raising their own children. They don't need to.
They need to go out to work, so therefore they don't need nannies and nurseries and.
Yeah. As in, it's a completely different.
Yeah, once you start
paradigm.
going down the chain of these things, you realise that one thing affects another, and actually that's also gone too.
Yeah, it's like if you think about like the super dominant companies in the world,
Mm-hmm.
really, who are they selling products to? Like you could say all of us, but where's their real money being made? Like who's actually buying from them? Like who's buying from Nvidia?
Yeah.
It's really these other big corporations that are all buying from each other. It's all it's like a lot of it's B2B. There's obviously a lot of companies that make money from consumers, like you need food and stuff like that, and entertainment or whatever. But the majority of their profits probably come from it's like a cloud infrastructure. Right, that's a massive.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, most of Amazon's money comes from Amazon Web Service, AWS, used by like Disney Plus, used by BMW, used by all these big companies.
Yeah. And and what they're doing, is basically selling data harvesting the populace in order to basically sell corporate solutions.
So, but then what about people like Apple, for example? They make basically all their money from providing to consumers.
Yes, but I think like in their case, yeah, it's like entertainment, isn't it? Because we don't really need iPhones and that sort of stuff. In the new economy, I don't think it will matter as much.
What?
Like I think like a company like Apple will be way less dominant than it has been in the past. Like it will decrease in its power, and then you'll have like
Google and
Google
stuff taken over.
Yeah. Like I see there's a big shift.
It's already started to happen. You can see it.
So capital will concentrate at the top. I'm not I'm not Gary Stevenson sort of person in that sense. Like I'm not like I believe in all of his ideas. I think he has the solution and how to fix it. Mm-hmm. But I'm quite aware of the fact that, and I did some when I was doing my master's degree. I did some of my work when I was studying it. Did go into sort of in looking at market fundamentalism.
Right.
So, capitalism taken to the extremes and the effects that it has on societies and that kind of thing. And they weren't necessarily very good effects in the long term. Short term, it's like, oh, people have jobs and stuff like that. But actually, the decline in wages and stuff like that, it's a product of this efficient capitalism.
Well, let's go on to this. So I started watching one of the Diary of a CEO episodes yesterday. Didn't finish it in time. How do you say his name? Yampolskiy? He's considered to have coined the term AI safety.
Yeah.
Back in 2011. And one of his points was the job impact. He predicts unemployment on an unprecedented scale. So this is not like we've ever seen it. This is up to 99% unemployment by 2030. As digital work is automated and the robots take over physical labor. So anything you can do on a computer can be automated.
Yeah.
In the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be slower. Things like this are usually slower, but with the rate things are going and the increases of things that are happening and the compound effects and stuff like that, maybe. But I think it might be a bit longer, but I'm not an expert. He probably is. So 99% by 2030. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've always thought that there will be mass unemployment as a result of AI and robotics and automation. But
you think it can...
5 years, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about 5 years because...
No, I don't think 5... Well, I don't think so. I mean, I was speaking to the people across the road from here, one of our clients, with the older brother, 2 older brothers, and they both work for National Rail,
Mm-hmm.
British Rail, something like that. One of them works on the tracks, one of them works on the overhead electrical cables for the train.
Mm.
I don't see robots doing that in 5 years' time.
No, as in I think it's kind of one of those weird revolutions in a sense because...
Well, you've got to design a very, very specific robot to do these things. Now, unless you do have the Tesla bots and stuff like that, and they get programmed with positioning and stuff like that, like back in, when you were a kid and you'd watch the Jetsons or something like that, or like iRobot, they all had a human-shaped robot doing several tasks.
Yeah.
And what actually happened was we have different robots designed for very specific tasks, like robot vacuum, robot lawnmower,
Yeah.
like robot window cleaner. Like it's not a human-shaped thing. So unless they make either a very specific shaped robot to do a very specific task, like changing the electrical cables for trains up and down the country on the world, or you have a company like Tesla or somebody else who make these robots that are human shaped, they get programmed with these tasks, and you have loads of them. Again, apart from those two options, which both sound like quite a mammoth task, I don't see it happening in 5 years.
I think the problem with robotics is it's a field, like you've got this AI field, right, in one direction, and you've got robotics in the other direction. But now what we're seeing, I think the 5-year thing might that's a bit, I think that would be unlikely, but possible, but unlikely. Now what we're seeing is the sort of merging of those two things, and AIs are, so like the stuff that NVIDIA are doing is pretty insane. Like they can model out a whole workplace and then train robots in infinite scenarios, like within these virtual workplaces and stuff like that. So before you used to have to prototype something and then create the environment and then create all these scenarios separately. Now, because of the power of AI and machine learning and neural nets, they can just do this training like that. Like you've seen with, like, in terms of investment, like it's getting quicker and quicker to train robots and cheaper to train them, and we're going to see like an explosion. So I do think that will happen. Again, the 5-year thing is it's a bit arbitrary.
It sounded like, to me. Well, let's look at the more near time. Another one of the things that he said is in the near term timeline. So by 2027, next couple of years, he argues that AGI could arrive. So AGI is artificial general intelligence, which is theoretically it's a type of artificial intelligence that has human-like levels of thought and abilities, capable of understanding, learning, and applying knowledge across a wide variety of things like humans, rather than a specialized single job like the current AI systems can do. He thinks that AGI, artificial general intelligence, will arrive by 2027, and that safety and alignment won't be solved by them. He predicts markets and lab leaders have very short timelines.
Yeah, no, as in I think that's probably true. as in, I mean, I always kind of think about ChatGPT and these other models. Now, the things that we see on the consumer side are not what they've got.
Oh no,
So,
of course not. Yeah.
So I do think it'll be pretty quick. Like I think it's coming very soon.
I don't know. My chat GPT can't remember to not include dashes. There's M dashes it uses.
Yeah.
Something.
No, but no, that's what I mean. But think about the progress in. Like I've got to think like 2 years ago or even a year ago.
It's hard to.
It was
It's hard to remember
the rate of improvement.
Until you look back.
Yeah.
It's like picking up an old phone or something. You don't remember it until you see it again.
The fact is that we move goalposts. We go, oh, we should be able to do this, and it should be.
You just keep moving it further and further.
But the fact is, like, if you actually look above and take a sort of wide view of it,
yeah,
it's insane how quickly it's improving. Like, did you see phones improve that quickly? I didn't see phones
year on year. Yeah. The thing is, this sort of stuff is I don't know what the graph is. It's sort of it's exponential and it levels off. So at the beginning, you see very, very quick jumps in improvement. Like with the phone thing, the camera would get better. 2009 to 2010, massive jump.
Yeah.
Like and it happened again and again and again. In the last few years, we've plateaued, and I think the same thing is the case for. I think it's fractal. I think it's the same thing. It's the same thing as the case for everything. So with ChatGPT, you have 1 month, 3 months, there was like a leap.
Yeah.
But it will end up plateauing as well. Everything does.
But at the moment, it's actually increasing in speed. So as in, even though it might not seem that way, the fact is that the standard user is unlikely to see those improvements.
Yeah.
But it's still on that upward trajectory. And I'm not fully convinced by the fact that we've like solved the way the models work.
Right.
I think and this is why they're concentrating so much on mathematics, because it's a maths problem at its core. All of this AI stuff is, if they might have to come up with a new field of mathematics to actually get a model that truly reaches super intelligence. I think general intelligence, it's not that far off. It's
2 years apparently.
You could even say it's fairly good at the stuff that it does now, but I think all the agent things take it to the next level, because if it can do most of the stuff that we do on the computer, say, then it's kind of, at what point do you say that's not general intelligence? It's like it knows quite a lot of things. It knows plenty of, like, the stock of human knowledge.
Yeah.
I know, like, for instance, I talked to Jamie, so our physics tutor. He's very good at physics. So, like, as in he's taken it to a very high level.
Yeah.
He's got a master's in physics. And he can spot problems with its understanding of physics, but I don't see that being as
the case for very long.
Yeah.
So we've discussed a few different areas and how the world's changing. We have 5 quick stats that are going to show the changing trends and how the world is changing. So the first one is 39% of core skills will change by 2030, which you've kind of touched on.
Kind of like a prediction and more than a stat, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
39%. That's taken from, where's that?
World Economic
Coursera?
World Economic Forum.
Oh, here, right, yeah, sorry.
They know what's going on.
2, which we've kind of seen already, hybrid is the default. So among remote capable workers, 55% are hybrid, 26% are fully remote, and 19% are on-site. There's a US study.
That's an interesting one, because I think one thing that I'd be cautious of if you're a young person or just anyone looking for a job now, is that if it is fully remote, be prepared to lose that job.
Yeah, because it can be done on a computer.
Yeah.
So things like what we do currently, like teaching, tutoring. It's
That's more people.
people. It's people. Yeah, so it's relatively safe.
It's in person. Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as people's, the thing is, it's a shift in attitudes, isn't it? So as people become more comfortable with online,
Yeah,
and I've seen that.
we've had more inquiries for online, but then I do think it's a pendulum swing. It's going to do that, and it's going to come back again.
Yeah.
Third one. AI at work is mainstream. I mean, it's kind of obvious. 78% of organizations use AI in at least one business function or more. I mean, like, we use it all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
And you don't always think about when you are using AI. So if you're making a thumbnail, for example, like a thumbnail for this YouTube podcast, whatever, clicking remove background, that's AI.
Yeah.
It's not just like LLMs and ChatGPT and whatever. It's
when we become unable to tell whether it's AI or not, I think that's the point where it's.
It started. There's been a couple of videos, like reels and shorts, that I've looked at and thought were real, and then looked at the comments, and then everyone's like,
It's like
there's a couple that I've started to miss now, which is a bit worrying.
even Google search, and the fact that
Yeah.
it is like every single search is an AI search.
Yeah, well, you want to cannibalize yourself before somebody else does.
Yeah.
So they're smart with that.
Of
They're
course.
cannibalizing their entire search engine before somebody else like OpenAI does it for them.
Yeah.
So smart. 4, grad competition has spiked, and we've seen this with all of our staff and graduating students and stuff like that. There's around 140 applications per job in the UK as of 2024, up 59%. Up 59%. The highest in 30 plus years. 140 applications per job. Now, I don't know. You're the one that does the hiring in this place. So when you get applications come through, you say a lot of them aren't
Good.
suitable.
Yeah.
Or good. Yeah.
They're
So
yeah.
depends if everyone's just applying for anything or if
Yeah.
it's we can't know that.
There is that, but I think it's also the fact that I know that people are aware that they need to apply for more jobs now than ever. There's probably a lot of AI applications too, or people applying in that sort of way. But yeah, it does mean the sifting process is quite effort now.
Well, unless you had an AI that sifted it for you.
And I had an interview recently with someone online where I was fairly certain that person was using an AI.
When you say online, you're like a video call?
Yep.
And they were using an AI while they were on the call to you?
Yeah, I think so. As in, there was something odd about
Right.
There was something very like it was a script. There was something inauthentic about it that didn't feel.
This is the thing. This is why I think the human element of it is the thing that will survive.
I'd say that's definitely just a point moving forward for any young people is if you have an interview with a person, you've got to appeal to that person's humanity. And if I sense that someone's really warm and a good person, I will, although I obviously want that person to be capable of learning and doing the job, that I place a greater stock on that, on their personability than purely knowledge. Although obviously, and that sort of thing, you need to have the level of knowledge required for the job and the level of capability to learn.
Even not always. You hire on personality traits because knowledge can be trained,
but also
or learn.
ability. But like, as in, I think you can hire someone with a very good attitude, but if they just cannot master it, then you won't hire them. You'll discover very quickly that they're not right for that position. But in those cases, you might if you're a big company or something like that, you'd be like, I like this person's attitude. They're not really working here, but you could like maybe reposition them because of your connection to them, and you know that they're a great worker potentially. Maybe you'll find a way to utilize them in another way. So I'd say like always aim for those sort of being personable rather than a robot.
Okay, yeah, and the last one was skills first. Skills first means more opportunities. So going skills based can expand the talent pool around 6.1 times globally higher. So, but then you said, according to this, the first two buckets have gone, and the first bucket was skills.
Yeah, I think this is a very short term effect.
Yeah.
So I think over the next 5 years, you might find companies employing more, hiring more in some cases, but the long-term vision for a lot of these companies will be to hire less.
Yeah.
And we've already seen that in terms of the corporate reporting. So now, it used to be a sign of growth that a company was hiring more people, but what we're seeing more is like companies that are producing more efficiency and hiring less,
Yeah.
and thus being more profitable, are doing better. So when they're replacing people with AI solutions, they are.
I do think it's a pendulum swing, though. I think it will come back around. I think think back to investing. If everyone's doing one thing, you do the other. Long term, I would probably just end up hiring more people, just because when it does swing back around again, which it will.
Well,
you have the talent pool.
I think it depends on the function in the job, but I'd say if you've got something very, you say this, but sometimes, for instance, customer relations.
Yeah.
Now you'd think having a person there would increase a company's performance and have fewer complaints, but it's actually been shown that they've sort of some I can't remember much about this, but there is some evidence that replacing your staff with AIs is actually producing more satisfaction, customer satisfaction.
I think that's because if you talk to a human, you can complain to a human. If you talk to a telephone, you can't put in a complaint, can you? So it's kind of a redundant thing.
You can. You can still.
You can tell a human that you're dissatisfied with the service, blah 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 blah, and that will get registered and logged somewhere. If you've got press 1 for this, press 2 for that, you can't.
I don't know.
Do that. So I don't know if it.
How many times have you talked to a person and not actually managed to, they don't know anything about it, or they don't understand what you've had that a few times where you've ended up solving the problem, or
but that's just me. I'm not a normal human being.
I don't know. I think if you're operating on a phone, you're gone. You're going to be gone in very
depends
short
what
period of time.
it depends what it is, but yeah.
It's actually even a job as complex as ours in terms of how you talk to the customer and that kind of thing. I think it's not an insurmountable amount of information for an AI to understand and learn. So an AI will eventually be able to do it better. It won't take a hell of a lot of time. AI salespeople will eventually beat the human salesperson with what they know.
Yeah, again, it depends on the industry and what the job.
I don't think it depends on.
I think it does.
Can you think of an example where they won't take over?
Depends what time frame we're talking.
5 years.
Yeah, even talking to our clients now, I don't think that if an AI doesn't have the information to begin with, but a human does.
Well, that's because that will be because there's a poor level of there's not enough linkage between the AI and the information source. But if an AI knew everything, could it not?
Yeah, but then you need the human taking that class or delivering that lecture or whatever it is would need to spend time putting it into the AI. That still requires a human because
No,
the human has the knowledge of the student.
no,
right?
no, but the actual job itself of doing a sales call or something like that, I think it'd be very easy. So
Sales call. Yeah, but you've got to build trust and you've got to get people on board and that sort of stuff. Unless it's this, I just don't think it's all going to be fully replaced in the way you think.
But
it
you
is.
can simulate that. Like
Yeah, but you
all right, wait a minute.
you can
How
when
many
you-
salespeople are complete psychopaths? A lot.
there's a lot, yeah.
And you don't need emotions. You don't need to. You can only need to simulate emotion to sell
Yeah,
something.
but then if you if the customer or client is talking to an AI, they'll know that it's not got
How-
real emotion.
No, how do they know? At that point, like if it's so.
If it gets to,
Yeah.
I
In 5 years, it will be there.
kind of it gets put in, doesn't it? Like I did a couple of chats, audio vocal chats with ChatGPT, and they've programmed in like little stutters and little laughs, and they've programmed in humor and emotion and human faults.
Yeah.
So
I've noticed as well that actually the way that people talk sometimes seems to have a two-way effect.
yeah,
So on the one hand, what we say becomes what the AI says is taken from humans. What the humans say is now taken from AI. And I've noticed in people's speech patterns and just whenever they're talking, they're sort of programmed almost. So I think there's like a bit of a two-way mix, and soon we won't be able to tell the difference because everyone will sort of come from that same source. This is one massive problem with AI is I think it's called technological convergence. So everything that we've produced ends up producing the same thing. It's a bit like art. So
there's a
line and
yeah.
nothing. Like we all end up
Is it
producing
what-
the same thing.
This is why I said when we last spoke about it is that it can't create. It can create based on what has already been given. There's nothing like new it can conjure up.
It created a new branch of maths recently, though. Like I think there's a sort of limit to that. At some level, there will be a shift, and you'll see that AI has become incredibly creative. And it depends what your model of creation is.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced that I thought creation. For me, creation comes from somewhere else. I feel like it comes and you channel it.
But
I don't think it's. You can just give it to an AI to do. It can simulate it maybe, but it won't be real, and you can feel that.
But what about I think AI was created by us ultimately to take over. Like as in I think there's like a destiny to it. Like we were always fated to create something with our intelligence, to create something more intelligent than us and create something.
I think it's going to be the downfall, honestly.
Yeah,
Because there's we're not going to go into all this now. There's the simulation theory that we're part of a simulation of some other being's thing, and what we're actually doing by making a AI closer and closer to becoming sentient and having its own world and thoughts is becoming God, essentially.
Yeah,
and that's the beginning of the downfall, I think, of
of
everything.
I do think it's
And when
poetic.
And then when that starts to create its own
things,
thing, that would become the God of that. And I think that's what ultimately will cause humanity to sort of fail.
We're seeing the first steps of that as well because AIs are creating their own training data now. Like as in,
and that's terrifying. That's just I think it's stupid, but I think it's stupid.
Or very, very clever.
No, well, I mean, we all know where this is going to go. 99% of job loss, like mass it's going to end up in deaths and all sorts of stuff.
But I think that's it's just it's fate.
I think we're just everything's a cycle, so we're in like one. I feel like we're towards the end of a massive cycle. That's what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to see if there's any more points that I want to bring up. Very small niche roles will persist. So, traditional accountant or bespoke, human-made services, products, small, basically niches.
But a lot of that's
he
licensing, isn't it? Like,
actually talks about simulation. I don't think I've got this far in the episode. He believes it's likely we live in a simulation, using the rapid progress in AI and VR as part of the argument. Not central to jobs, but in a segment in the episode. Okay, so I've not actually got to that part yet, but it's kind of what I just said, essentially. So that's an interesting tangent, but still relevant, I think. What should we learn right now? If the future that we've spoken about is even remotely true, what should we do?
I think one good thing is that no matter what happens, the steps to I don't even think you can really think of it as preparation. The
Why?
steps that you're taking,
What do you mean?
because I don't think you can be fully prepared. Like, as in,
You can start to prepare.
you
don't
can't
blindside
you
it.
can't prepare for something that's impossible to predict. But you can sort of you'll take similar actions no matter what happens, because the changes are fairly obvious.
Okay, well, I've got a couple of prompts we can probably finish up on to try and help answer this question. 'Cause I know the title is sort of, what was the title of the? What do we choose the title? What would you do?
Yeah.
Guides and skills for an ever-changing world.
Yeah.
We've tried to answer it as we've gone through, but we haven't really come to a
I'll
conclusion.
try and unpack it, I guess.
Yeah, so let's start with this. Obviously, everything that can be done on a computer can be automated. If digital tasks go first, which human preferred services would you still pay for? Would you still pay human for, and why?
Childcare, like, as in those sorts of things.
Give me a few.
Childcare.
That's it.
I don't think I'd fully trust her. But even then, like, people are fallible. I don't completely trust all teachers or all childminders or babysitters. Like, you still need to get a good understanding of the person. And even if you think you have a good understanding, there is an element of the unknown.
I think that's also the case with robots and AI, but yeah.
It's like, with self-driving, a lot of people make the point that it doesn't matter if a car is twice as good as a human driver. What matters is that it's 99% better. Because to have that have people, society generally as a whole, to like pull in the same direction and want it to be true, it needs to be a hell of a lot better, not just like slightly better. Otherwise, it's not working.
Reminds me of we mentioned it earlier, iRobot. It's based in 2035, iRobot. But the reason Will Smith has his robot arm or whatever is because the robot, there was a car crash and they both fell in the water, and the robot worked out that Will Smith's character had higher percentage chance of surviving than the kid, so the robot left the kid to drown. Spoilers, I know it's like 20 years old, but so it reminds me of that, and that is things like that why I still wouldn't trust.
You say that, but I think he made a good decision.
No.
He became the hero of
the film.
Yeah.
I think you're missing the point, but yeah.
No. As in, there is a sort of, but I think in those sort of life-death scenarios, you need to actually take the pragmatic action. And that's the thing that humans struggle to do, because we're wired with all of this emotion. But
that's insane. I can't believe you just said that. No, I would have. You'd have saved the child, surely.
No, but if it's more likely to die, then.
But it's not lived yet. You'd save the child. I don't know what you're talking
No, but
about.
what's the but whose life has more value is incalculable. Like you can't what's the difference between one person's life and another?
Well, the age.
Really? Like a baby has more value than a mother of the baby, of the child.
In human terms, yeah. In robot terms, no.
Really? I think you can't compare. Like, as in, to compare them is not, for me, something you can do. You can't weigh lives up.
Well, you have to if you're making self-driving cars and robots and all this sort of stuff. Like that's it's the moral dilemma. It's the thing that's the problem.
The
with
trolley
robot.
problem.
Yeah.
Well, for instance, if you've got 5 lives on the track and 1 life.
Yeah.
Does it matter which? So suppose you've got 1 baby.
Yeah.
On the track, and then 5 adults on the track. Like, which one? So if you have a runaway trolley, would you run over those 5 adults, or would you run over the 1 baby? Would you like which one?
Are you actually asking me?
Which one would you run over?
Jeez, what a thing to put on the podcast. I don't know a clue.
It'd be the baby, wouldn't it? Because you've got 5 lives here.
But they've got more chance of surviving than the baby.
No, imagine they're tied down. So you've got.
What world have you built in?
Yeah, like you got. Well, the baby could be missed. like you still. I don't think you can compare those lives. Like they mean the same thing. If you take a God's eye view or whatever, like there's still human lives here, human lives here. There's 1 human life here and 5 here. How can you weigh one up over the other?
It's less. Well, you've got to think about the sort of pain it's going to cause the families or whatever that are left to deal with the pain. It's not just.
Yeah, you haven't got time to make that. So you need to know about those babies' connections.
What do you mean? It's obviously got a mother and
Well, I
family.
suppose it's an orphan.
This is getting dark.
No.
Okay, sorry.
Right, so it's an orphan baby. It's got no connections. It's from an orphanage. Right. Does that have less value? Does that life have less value than a child that has a mum and dad?
No.
Yeah. So, would you say 5 lives is more than the
Depends how old the other 5 are.
They're 30s.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. I don't have an answer. I actually don't know.
But then that's something you don't know. You don't know how long they'll live. They could all die at 31.
Yeah, but it's unlikely. But do you see what I mean? Like, it's these sorts of calculations.
Like, a robot can do, but a human can't. Like, a human has trouble wrestling with that. A robot has no problem. So actually, a lot of these moral decisions in, say, wartime and stuff like that, a robot will make a more logical and pragmatic decision. It's a bit like, to be a good prime minister or to be a good world leader or something like that, it's not necessarily about being the most moral. It's about being correct, pragmatic. So being able to weigh things up in a logical way. Computer can do it much better than a person. But it depends on the logic of the logic of the system matters, doesn't it? It's like those AIs and stuff like that. They'll have a corpus of knowledge from all over the place, and it depends what builds up that training data. And that's the worry is, well, what would it actually think? What does it really believe about a human life? At some level, obviously, like you could talk about consciousness, but I think that's a completely other. That's like
I don't think we will
develop its own view of morality and understanding of it. But if we're to assume that it has a sort of human understanding of a human knowledge of things, but without the empathy and understanding, then it would still make the right decision from a human perspective. It's a bit worrying though when it gets to like godlike, and then it basically doesn't. You can't imagine how it would view a human life.
Yeah, so that's the worry, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I mean this is the AI safety thing.
Yeah.
Paradox in. If we create the system, if it takes our values, then are there flaws in our understanding that are pre-programmed in? And by the same token, if it creates its own morality, if it's so creative, it's able to like come up, like if we create a new model of the world and understanding, then you have the danger that it will represent values that are not human at all. It's like an alien intelligence. I think that's the biggest like risk, but I think it's unlikely. I think it's likely to have human understanding, human knowledge of issues of morality and that kind of thing. But
but then we're getting to a point where it can make leaps, you know,
Yeah.
and in its thought process, it can make leaps.
Yeah.
Neural networks, and all, you know, it can make a leap and jump to a conclusion, which it couldn't do before.
Emergent properties as well. So new abilities can arise and new understanding can arise out of whatever's being created.
I mean, we're not really answering this question, are we?
What was that?
What was the question? The question was, what should people be learning?
Sure.
So you said nannies and teachers and that sort of stuff. I think.
Oh, what wouldn't you trust the robot? That was the original sort of idea.
Well, no, the original question was, which human preferred services would you still get a human to do?
Yeah. So
the actual overarching question is, what should we learn right now, if that future is partly correct?
it's a values thing, isn't it?
So, do you think people should just go? I don't know how long we have left, but do you think people should just do what they enjoy and be done with it?
I think the
Like, if you enjoy being creative, go and paint. Yeah, I think my answer to the previous question, let me just jump back. My answer to the human preferred services would be like nursery, nannies, teachers, artists, designers, product developers, like these sorts of creative things is what I would still give a human to do, alongside client relationships and stuff like that. So that's my answer. Now, in terms of what we should learn right now, do you think people should just do what they enjoy?
I think the argument is greater than ever that you should do what you enjoy.
While you still can.
Yeah. No, exactly. I think the thing is to have the energy as well to pursue something and sort of reach the level that you would need to make a living for yourself. You need to, on some level, enjoy it now.
Well, I think it's more the case that people should do what they enjoy if people are going to end up having more free time than they actually wish to have, because they're going to have no purpose.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people's purpose is their work and their job. So hobbies will take over, and probably eventually that will become quite valuable. People crafting handmade stuff, like you've seen the rise in personalized gifts and Etsy and that sort of stuff. So, and like I said, I think more and more people are quitting their corporate jobs and starting a business making doilies, or like doing one-on-one coaching or designing stuff. Like I design stuff for people on the side of all this. People are coming back to their own sort of individual market stalls, and you've seen the rise of again, Stephen Bartlett has invested like 2 million in a company called, I cannot remember. It's a company where people sort of have their own side business, their own business, and it's to do with that. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
It's going to come back to me after I switch off the recording today. But you got the rise of all that, and
people, but also as people are feeling, all right. So there's been a massive rise in entrepreneurship.
This is what I mean.
And it's also been because people are being forced to resort to it because they can't get, and well, either their wages are too low for a cost of living, so they're being forced into
to do a secondary
thing.
Yeah.
Or some of them could be seeing opportunity in this. I do think this is a massive losers versus winners time. So then if you're able to take advantage, I do think there's a short window though.
Yeah.
I do think it's like 5 years, like tops.
Well, so my my degree is in design,
Mm-hmm.
graphic design. I've done quite a few projects for people with their own sort of side business and stuff. And recently, there's been more. There's been people that want websites built for their new side personal startup, not like massive tech, but like, I want to make clothing for this person, or I want to do photography for this person.
Yeah.
There's been more of that, and that's why I've started my own sort of side thing where I'm doing logos and designing and making websites for these people to help them, because I can see there's like a opportunity there. Might be brief, might be 2 years, might be 3 years, but it's there. I can see it happening.
I think it's partially obviously like you got some people in the position to do that, who have money already, but it's also, I think, a point of desperation. So then people are also like, I need to do something.
Yeah.
And desperation sort of creates that need to. I need to be doing something. I don't know what, but like I know that I'm interested in this. I'm just going to pair this together and then see what hits. So I'm good.
Yeah.
But then I think we're going away from that mode of, so like setting up a website and that sort of thing. And
I know it's a brief window.
I think it, as in we'll just be flooded with loads of businesses that don't make money.
But they don't have to make a lot. You see, they don't have to make like, 100,000, 200 millions. They just have to make enough for the person to live on. It's an individual, personal brand. Basically, personal brands are going to become the new thing, I think. That's where things are going.
And we've seen that with so the shifts in where companies are spending their advertising dollars.
Yeah.
So they're pushing more of the like influencer thing. I mean that's the thing is it's those buckets have changed, haven't they?
Yeah.
I don't think it's, and that, I mean, on the one hand, that's a good thing because it means that it's no longer a matter of how much you know. So for people who aren't, I'd say like maybe not the most academic or whatever, this isn't necessarily a bad time. It's possibly a time for opportunity for them because no one's going to hold it against you too much for not having a particular knowledge set. But it's a problem for people who are, say, slightly more academic because the value of their knowledge and skills will drop and will continue to drop.
Which is why I think the whole creative side of things will become more valuable. The investment, by the way, was Stan Store.
Oh, yeah. No.
You know what a Stan is?
No.
A Stan is, actually, I think it's part of the dictionary now. No, not the name. So Stan comes from, I don't know if this one particularly does, but Stan comes from Eminem.
Huh. Oh, yeah.
Like a crazy fan.
Oh, okay.
A Stan is the name for a fan that's really crazy. So having the investment be called a Stan Store, it's like everyone is their own influencer, everyone has their own fans. I don't know if that's where the name came from, but
I think
it's called Stan Store.
Stephen Bartley, you can see it in what he does and his activities. He's got that to that point where he's just like, I'm just going to nail money everywhere, invest in loads of these different things.
But he's got that luxury.
It's like what I've been doing.
He's got that luxury to be able to throw money at stuff.
Like what I've been doing, because I can't see any. I find it quite hard to find opportunities in that are really long term. So I've been just investing in the companies that
are doing
it. So I've been investing heavily in things like Google,
Nvidia, and that sort of stuff. Yeah. See, like, I mentioned Stan Store. We exist to help anyone work with themselves. So, like, even like big players are seeing this trend. So, to finish off, key skills. Do what you enjoy. Lean into human things. Things that you think AIs and robots can't replicate, like creativity, childcare, daycare, nannies, and that sort of stuff. And if none of that makes any sense, then just invest in the companies that are doing that already.
Also, I think just a general skill, be adaptable. Because
I mean, that's kind of
It's going to be quick.
I want to say that's a given. It's not something we've touched on today, but in a fast-changing world, if something is changing, you've got to be able to adapt to that change. But as an overall summary, I would say what I've just said: the childcare stuff, human to human, creativity, things you don't think robots can or AI can replicate. Anything human to human, and do what you enjoy.
There's also
And or invest in the companies that are building the level above you. Always think the level above. Think about who's making the thing. Think about who's making that, what chips are not, and what things go into that level of stuff. Work your way up the chain and invest in those companies.
do you think there's any opportunity? So suppose you're quite interested in computing and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is there opportunity for anyone like that? Do you think
In terms of what? Like,
in this new world, like
when you say interested in computing, what do you mean?
so they're right into coding. They like building stuff and
No, because we're basically on tipping point where
what
the
about
AIs can code for themselves. Even when I don't know how to code, but now when I need to make additional CSS to create a website to make a button pop out or change color or whatever else, ChatGPT gives me I've got to prompt it 2-3 times to get it correct, put it in, test it, change it. I don't know how to code fully, but I can get it off of.
No, but someone who's like actually pretty good with that.
I think they're fine for a few years, but not for long.
Yeah.
Because code is something you can just chuck into an LLM and it can learn from it.
But there is also a lot of investment money being thrown into AI startups and that sort of thing. So there's potentially an avenue if you've got an AI solution.
Yeah, but you not think it's basically just like a .com bubble that's gonna.
Oh yeah.
Like the second you put, so the guy said, the second you put AI on your name, you get a 2 billion valuation already. Like that's where we are. But most of them are not going to succeed.
Yeah, most of them aren't doing anything particularly special. It's like even, Mark Zuckerberg.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
He brought in that. He basically they acquired it. So Meta acquired a company, Scale AI or something like that. And they brought in their workforce and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even their own business model doesn't seem to make much sense now, because that was meant to be like revolutionary. So I think the pace of that change is something that people can't really keep up with.
No, it's compounding, it's exponential, like we said. It's going to get quicker and quicker and quicker. So adaptable. We don't really have a full answer, but that's the answer I can.
Adapt, enjoy things, and
adapt and enjoy, and do what you enjoy. Think about what AI can't do, and try and do that. So thank you for joining us on our first episode of the new season. If you are watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below to give us your thoughts. If you are listening to us or watching us now on Apple or Spotify, don't forget to give us a rating and a follow, and we'll see you back again next month.
The Education Lounge Podcast.